Okay, so we're going to be on this section for a little while because there's a lot of stuff in here that's really, really good. So what we did on Friday was supposed to be easy because we were just adding and subtracting and that kind of stuff. The domain thing I know is tricky. We'll keep working on that. Today we're going to talk about the composition of functions. And we did this last year in advanced algebra, if you were with me then. Fog, yep, fog and goth if you switch it around. So the composition f of g is how you pronounce it, and the notation is f with a big old open circle, so it's not a multiplication thingy, it's an open circle. G is defined by f of g of x. Okay, it's a really pretty simple concept. Whereas things that we've done before are if you take the function, I don't know, f of x equals 3x plus 2, and I ask you what is f of 7, then that means you're going to take the 7 and plug it in for the x. And the way you would write that is f of 7 like that, and you go 3 times 7 plus 2 is 23. This is the exact same thing, but instead of sticking a number in there for x, you're sticking an entire function in there. Okay? And you can do that. It's no big deal. So, excuse me, who?
Sire.
Just gonna call me Your Grace.
What?
Your Grace.
Your Grace.
Yeah, my wife started watching some British miniseries thingy, and they always call the king.
Your Grace.
So when you walk in, you guys should walk in, you know, like this, all down. And then when you leave, you have to back out of the room. You can't turn your back on me. That's rude.
Okay, did you just randomly throw a 7 in there?
Yeah, we just randomly threw a 7.
Okay, fun little fact here.
Pulled that up right out of my ear. What?
Did you know that when people, no, I never got that.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, when people say it's proper to drink with your pinky up, it's actually disrespectful.
Because you're pointing or something?
I don't know. I just found that out. I don't know. It's just disrespectful.
I've never heard that before, so I don't know if I believe you.
It was on a British television show, actually.
Are you on British television?
What are you doing?
I'm trying to please, Taylor, let me see.
You get it? You got it?
No.
You got it good.
Yeah.
I think that should be a new rule. You have to back out of the room. You can't turn your back on your highness.
Oh, 3 times. No, you said 3.7. No one likes
So, same thing as that other one. Now we're going to do, you have to kind of read it. F, the big O stands for of G of X. So that looks like this, F of G of X. So what am I plugging into what for what? I'm plugging the G of X into the X in the F function. This is an example. So f of g of x would be, wait for it, e to the power of the square root of x. Because I'm taking the x in the f function and replacing it with the g function. Okay?
We're writing this down.
I see that.
Can we do like a new rule, like you let us write it down first and then you explain it? Because while we're writing it down, we're not really listening to it that well.
Only one new rule today. And the new rule is that it's go like that. And I might, you know, hold out my hand, you have to kiss my ring. Okay, so here's what I did. I took the original f of x function, which is e to the x, right?
Yeah.
So that's what this is. That's what f is. and I put into that the g of x function. Okay? What is the g of x function? Square root of x. If I'm going to put that into that function, where would I put it? I would have to put it in there for the x. So since that's the square root of x, I'm going to make this into e to the square root of x. In the same way that I could have asked you, like I did on the other board, what is f of 2? And you would have taken the stuff that's inside the parentheses, which is a 2, and replaced the x with that number. So f of 2 is e squared, right? F of pi would be what?
E pi.
E to the pi. And maybe this is an easier way to do it, is to do it in 2 steps instead of 1. F of g of x would be e to the g of x, right? Because whatever is in the parentheses goes in for gx. Except I don't want to write g of x, I want to write what g of x actually is. So I'm going to rewrite this as e to the square root of x.
Also, since g of x equals x to the square root of x.
Then you pass what
G
you.
of x.
Right. Okay. Okay, we can do the same thing but backwards
No.
if we want. So do I have to wait for you to write that down now?
I'm gonna note for the.
Okay, so what's the g function? It wasn't x squared, it was, the g function was square root of x, right? So g of f of x means I'm going to take that x and replace it with f of x, right? Whatever's in the parentheses goes in for the x. Yes? But what does f of x equal? E to the x. So really the way I want to write this is the square root of e to the x. Okay? Okay. All right, and so what you should notice from that example is that it is not always true, although it may be sometimes, that f of g of x equals g of f of x. It can be sometimes, and we'll talk about those special cases later this week, but don't assume that if you do it one way, it's going to work out the same as if you do it the other way. Okay? All right, and just to confuse you even more,
Nice.
we can also go backwards. So now we're going backwards, okay? So now you have to tell me what the 2 functions are that I put together to make this 1. What's one of them? X plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to say, since that's the stuff that's inside, g of x is x plus 1. What did I put x plus 1 into to get x plus 1 squared minus 3 times x plus 1 plus 4? Well, I put it into h, yeah, but what was the function that gave me that to start with? Yeah, but x squared minus 3x plus 4. Because what I did when I took this function and plugged it in here, I plugged it in where all the x's are, right? So this, since you said x plus 1 was originally the g, that means I have to go through here and change all of those to just plain old x's. And then that's my original function that I started with. So I took x squared minus 3x plus 4, and I plugged the x plus 1 in there. So this became x plus 1 squared. This became 3 times x plus 1. And this doesn't have an x in it, so it just stayed as a 4.
What's the h there?
The h is just like saying my name is my final answer, h. Just because. Yeah, so I got to come up with E, F, G, H, you know, in order Okay, let's try another one.
We need to write these ones down or not?
It's up to you. You're big kids now, you can figure it out. Okay, so my final answer is the square root of x cubed plus 1.
Wait.
What function did I plug into what function to get that as a final answer?
X. Square root of x cubed.
Not quite. Anybody have any idea?
Square root of x.
Okay, square root of x was what I plugged it into. What did I plug into the square root of x to turn it into the square root of x cubed plus 1? X cubed plus 1. So if I take this and plug it in for x in there, this will be my final answer.
How do you know?
The way I know which one is G and which one is F, that's a good question. They wanted us to figure it out so that it's F of G of F. Oh, I think I did it backwards. You got me. I did it backwards. The F is supposed to be the one that you plug it into. So I got that backwards. 2 points for Taylor. Oh, well. Okay. Yeah, they're 2A now, or single A now, so. No, they were like, you did? Maybe they just have a golf.
Hey, you should have went with the playoff game.
It's always had kids. You
There's
did.
some problem.
did
Yeah,
the
you're
scoreboard.
right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I ran the clock out of time.
My game was so